It's time for the Bleed Lows Podcast with your hosts, Alonso and Juan, Alicia Del Valle, and the babyface gimmick in the sky, Roger.
BetOnline continues to be your number one source for all your basketball wagering needs, including pro and college hoops throughout the year. With up-to-the-minute odds, stats, and trends, you can follow your favorite team's path to the playoffs with in-game live betting, contests, and all the best player props. Experience the world's best wagering platform anytime from your desktop or your mobile devices. Head to BetOnline today to become part of the team, and remember to use promo code BELIEVE for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here.
And we are back with another episode of the Bleed Lows podcast. And opening day and the 2024 MLB season, it's officially here, guys. You know, the Dodgers just wrapped up their 2-game series with the San Diego Padres, splitting it 1 game apiece. But the Dodgers, as a team on the field, had a very eventful 2 days, and off the field has been a very eventful probably 24 hours. But we do have a lot of stuff to talk about in today's show. And then joining us for the first time is Mike, who just joined Dodgers Beat a couple weeks ago. He's had a few articles on DodgersBeat.com. So, Mike, we're glad to have you for this episode. And then third time, we got Carlos coming back to give his thoughts and opinions on the 2-game series and pretty much everything that's unfolding as well. So, Mike, I'll kind of segue to you, kind of background of yourself, how long you've been a Dodgers fan, anything you want to tell the viewers, where to find your work and all that.
Cool. Well, my name's Mike. I've been doing Dodger stuff for approximately a little over maybe 2 years now. And my specialty is international play. So international players, the MPB, the Dominican Republic. I'm very interested in those, in that genre and in that part of baseball. So I got into that probably about 2.5 years ago when I started really paying attention to it. And so I'm kind of familiar with a lot of the players that are came into the MLB this year.
All right, nice. Thank you. And thank you both for coming on for this episode. And for anybody that's now listening, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You know, we're getting really close to 4,000 subscribers. We're going to be posting pretty much content pretty much daily now, just now that the season's in full swing. And if you want to join us, you know, these are 2 guys that have been watching the show, fans of the show, and we are looking for contributors not only to the podcast, but also for the website as well. So if you're interested, just go on the website, shoot us a message on social media and show your interest. But we'll kind of get straight into it. The Dodgers do split the first series of the year 1-1. They win game 1 of a score of 5-2, a little late comeback victory there. Little glove malfunction that ended up going the Dodgers' way. And game 2 was it was pretty much all over the place. You know, the Dodgers got down pretty early. The offense fought all the way back, and then kind of the relief pitching is kind of what bit them in the ass at the end of the game. Mike, I'll go with you because you are the guy that has been high on Yoshinobu Yamamoto all year. You've been on social media talking about it. You've written a few articles about it. You've seen him you were at spring training not that long ago, and you kind of wrote an article highlighting everything about that. Knowing how we saw his first start today, only going 1 inning, throwing around 45, I think 50 pitches, and not going back out there to finish to start the second inning and giving up 5 runs. Are you worried at all, or do you think Yamamoto will be just fine?
No, I'm not worried at all. I think he's going to be okay. You know, he started out in 2018 when he was a rookie in the MPB. Didn't do very well. I think his average was like 5.38 for his average his first year. Gave up some hits, and you know, he's coming over to the MLB now, and the mound's a little bit different. The ball's a little bit different, so he's going to have to make some adjustments from when he came from the MPB. Yes, I did write some articles in regards to him a few last year and the beginning of this year. And, you know, I pretty much said, yeah, he's going to be a really good pitcher, you know, for the Dodgers when they picked him. I always thought he was going to be a Dodger. I never thought that he was going to go anywhere else. I always hyped him up to come to the Dodgers, and I'm actually really glad that he's here. So I think once he makes his adjustments that he needs to make on how he's going to be coming off the mound, when he's pitching, his stretch that he needs to adjust a little bit, that's going to help him out to be able to place his pitches the way that he's normally doing, because he's pretty accurate. In all the film that I've seen on him, the games that I watched on the internet, he can pinpoint where he wants that ball to go, and he's struggling a little bit right now. So I think, with that, like I was saying, him coming off the mound isn't the same that he was coming off, in the MPB. You can see he's, his first step isn't quite the same, what I'm used to seeing from him, and you could see it. So I think he's going to be fine. He'll make his adjustments, and then we'll be able to see the real Yamamoto.
Okay. And then honestly, I probably should have led off with this, Carlos. Obviously, I'm on the East Coast, so I get a little bit of a time to, wake up a little bit and then watch the game. You guys, I believe, are all on the West Coast. So were you up to watch both of these games at 3 a.m. local time for you?
Yeah, so I was trying to go to sleep early. I couldn't get to bed early, so I went to sleep, I think, the first game at 12 o'clock, set my alarm for 2 because I wanted to watch the opening ceremony, which they didn't have. But so I got up at 2 o'clock. I watched the game till the very end. I missed the bottom of the ninth, but it was really tough. I went to sleep after the game was over. I had a headache almost like the entire day because I didn't sleep right. I did the same thing the next night. I think I slept 4 hours. I woke up at 3 o'clock this morning, watched the game, but it was tough. I was telling Roger earlier that it's cool they're going there. It's nice that they're going to other countries to demonstrate baseball so that more people can get into baseball. But for us as fans, 3 o'clock in the morning, that's rough, man. That's rough. It was. I can't wait to go to bed tonight and sleep at a normal time and wake up at a normal time. But yeah, it was. I'm sure there's a lot of fans that feel the same way.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I thought it was pretty early, even for East Coast listeners or like watchers like myself. Bit of an adjustment, and I honestly feel for the team because me and Rogers were trying to do, clock math when they were supposed to leave immediately, come back to the U.S. right after the game. So we're like, all right, are they going to be here Thursday U.S. time when they left Thursday night Korean time? Yeah. So I feel for their jet lag. But kind of going off of what I asked Mike, Yamamoto made his debut today, and that was pretty much the first headline of the morning. Were you shocked about how ineffective he was in his first start, and are you worried at all, or do you kind of agree with kind of what me and Mike have kind of said in the past, where it's going to be a little bit of adjustment period for him, but he will just be, he'll be fine. He'll come into his own.
So I'm not too worried. I'm not worried, but I am shocked how bad the outing was. I can see that the ball size, I guess that's become an issue because he didn't have control of his fastball. He couldn't hit the spots on the fastball. And then from what I heard, that the splitter he was hanging his splitter. It wasn't breaking. And I'll give it to him that they were also saying how the altitude, the indoor of the stadium, of the dome where they were playing, that factored in somehow to his pitches. So with that regard, I'm not worried about him. I think he'll adjust with the ball eventually. I think his hands, like piano players, when they play pianos, their fingers, their phalanges get bigger and stuff or longer or something. I think that's what's going to happen. Honestly, all joking aside, with him holding the ball, I think he's going to get to that point where he can grip the ball better, and that'll help him control his spots or hit his spots with his fastball. But I don't want to defer yet, but he really gave up 4 runs and not 5 because there was an error that wasn't called an error. And so that also didn't help him. He thought he was out of the inning, and the inning just kept going on and ended up throwing 40 plus pitches. And the right thing to do was not let him come back out for the second. It's not good. I mean, the guy just started pitching in the major leagues. And then consequently, because of that, you have a bullpen that wasn't expecting to pitch this many innings. And so I wouldn't fault, I think Grove was the second pitcher in. I wouldn't fault Grove for his outing because even though their job is to warm up, that's their job in the bullpen, get ready quick. It's still, I think it was unexpected for them to start getting Grove in the second inning. and thereafter all the relievers kind of struggled a little bit, except Cody's favorite Yarbrough probably pitched the best.
Yeah. Roger, I'll kind of shoot to you. Me and you were going back and forth in the morning watching the game, kind of each critiquing and seeing what we saw with Yamamoto. Honestly, after everything we've seen this winter, are you kind of along the same lines as Mike and kind of what we're saying, where this is just his first start, it's going to get better? Or do you think it's going to take some time? Do you think the contract's already looking bad for the Dodgers?
No, I think he'll be all right. I mean, it's gonna take time. I mean, I wasn't expecting him to come out and just lights out and just mow everybody down. Like I did see him in spring training. When he was facing Dodger hitters, he looked great, right? He was making some of these guys look really silly. He had some great appearance in spring training when they were live BP, with Freeman and Jason Hayward, and they were like, wow, what's this guy throwing? And we even saw it in the spring training games. He'd go out there and his movement was really great, and then eventually in the last game, right? I think in the fourth they finally got to him. So it's gonna be an adjustment period. These guys are already kind of getting the book on him. They know what he's gonna do, what he's gonna try to do out there, and now he's just got to come back and adjust to that. And eventually, I think he's gonna, because he's got the stuff. If you look at his stuff, he has it, right? He has the stuff. So I think his stuff will play. It's just it's an adjustment. It's a learning period. It's going to be a couple starts maybe where he looks good, and a couple starts probably he doesn't look that great. So I think overall it's just an adjustment period, and at the end of that, I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, I think with Yamamoto, kind of the things that I saw a lot of people talking about on social media. One of the big things a lot of people were talking about was the possibility that it was tipping his pitches, but I didn't really see any of that at all. Pitching Ninja put out a great video of overlay of, I think he threw 4 different pitches today, and they all looked exactly the same. Like even for fans like us, we could see someone that's like drastically pitched, like tipping something. And I don't think that was the case either. I thought the speeds between his pitches were fine as well, but I really think it's just along what Mike was saying. He's adjusting to not only the mound, but he's adjusting to the baseball. He's adjusting to a whole new team. This was the first or second time I think Will Smith actually caught him. Because me and Roger were making bets behind the scenes saying, all right, is it going to be Barnes or Smith that's catching him today? So I think he's going to be just fine. But I'm interested to see, kind of where they go moving forward, because I kind of threw around some ideas saying, I think it would be, if they can get it in, I think it would be smart to get him into the exhibition series against the Angels, have him go like 1 or 2 innings just to kind of correct some things, and then delay him into the rotation to start the year. I don't know if any of you guys kind of feel the same way, kind of let him work some things out and then, maybe make him like the 3rd or 4th starter. Any suggestions out there?
I was just going to say, obviously
go ahead,
the nerve factor, right? I mean, he's making his professional debut, right, with the Dodgers, right? He's making it in Korea, right? I mean, close to home, right? So that plays into it. The expectation that's on him, right? The highest paid pitcher, all those things already, you're going to have a bunch of nerves, right? And then there's news that we're going to discuss later with Shohei, right? So you already had a lot of eyes on this game, and now you have more additional eyes because of the news that's come out. So a lot of nerves, going into this game. I mean, I know he threw a lot of pitches in that first inning. I was kind of interested, like, would they let him go back out, for the second inning to see if, okay, he got through that first inning. Can he go out there and now get some outs? If first hitter, if you didn't get him out, then you pull him, right? But if you would have went out there, got a couple outs, kind of just to kind of get his feet back on the ground. I don't know, but he did throw a lot of pitches in that first inning, and I think we're talking with Cody. Yeah, they kind of did treat it like a spring training game. Like, hey, you pitched, you threw over 40 pitches. It's time to go.
And they did the same thing with Glasnow. I mean, they shut him down. They didn't let him get over 70 or 80 pitches. But no, I kind of agree with you, Cody, on that. Let him come back into the Angels series and let him come out and pitch. One thing that in the article that I wrote that was posted on Yamamoto is Dodger fans we all think Shohei Ohtani is a really good pitcher, right? He's a dominant pitcher, His first year, with the Angels, his ERA was like 12.18. He was not that good, when he first came over after he got his surgery done in his first year back. So he needed to adjust also to it. And, the statistics show, it was, Yu Darvish, Yamamoto, Otani, and Roki Sasaki are pretty much the dominant pitchers, in our era, in the MPB. And Yamamoto was pretty much ahead of all three of those, while in the MPB. So I think, like I was saying, I think he's going to be doing just fine, once he makes his adjustments. I never thought that he was going to come in here and dominate the way that he was and have a 1.91 ERA like his last season that he had, in the MPB. I never thought that. I thought that he was going to be, maybe a 2.5, 2.9, maybe a 3, in his first year. And I think that he's eventually going to get there.
Yeah, and then before we move on to the next topic, or when we talk about some positives and takeaways from this series, any closing thoughts on the Yamamoto stuff, Carlos?
Yeah, you know what? I thought after his outing, I said, you know what the Dodgers can do to build his confidence and show that they're behind him, make him the opening day starter on Thursday. It'll be 6 days rest. He can do his program, whatever, the javelin throwing and stuff. And then on Thursday, he can start the game. And I think that'll bode well for him, his confidence, and then his belief that the Dodgers are behind him and still believe in him. And you know what? But 45.00 ERA, it could only get better from there. So I'm staying positive.
And when he went out, I don't know if you guys saw, like, Dave Roberts went over to him, he was like, let him know, hey, everything's fine, and after that bad outing, you'd expect, you'd be like all down, and, but Yamamoto, he was fine. He didn't seem, completely, down. And like I said, Doc came over to him, told him things are fine, good, that's enough for today. And we'll move on.
Yeah. He went into the dugout and then he came back out. He went to the locker room, then came back out to support his team. And they almost, came back and won the game.
He's a very prideful person. He'll be doing just fine. So.
All right. And then, honestly, kind of let's get away from the doom and gloom of the Dodgers in Game 2. Let's highlight some good things about this team. And I would say a big takeaway is that their offense is going to be just fine. It looked like in Game 1, they were struggling early on, but it was against Yu Darvish, who career-wise has pitched really well against the Dodgers. They came alive in that 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, and pretty much all game this morning, they were in it the entire time. So I'm interested to see what you guys think about, how the offense kind of played today, kind of how Mookie Betts is continuing to play, probably picking up where he left off last year. So, Carlos, what did you think of the offense the past 2 nights to get started for the season?
Right. So in the first game, like you mentioned, Darvish, one of the top pitchers in National League for sure. He had to throw 72 pitches, and he couldn't even get out of the 4th. I think he was at 72. He pitched 3 2/3. What you can see from the Dodgers offense is that you can let down with the 4th, 5th, or 6th or 7th. I mean, you literally have to focus on the first one. You got to focus on the second batter, Otani, then Freeman. Then you got to focus on Smith, who had a pretty good series. Muncy had a decent series as well. Then then the next is Teoscar Hernandez. Then you got to focus on Outman, and then Hayward had a great series too. And Lux didn't get any hits in the first game, but he hit the ball sharp, and it showed on the second game. He was 2 for 4, I think, in the second game. So it's like a lineup where you can't really let up, and that's why the pitchers are throwing a lot of pitches. And I don't see almost any starters getting that far with the Dodgers lineup. And when it was 9-2, I was gonna go to bed, and I'm like, you know what, they're gonna come back, and everybody just kept getting on base or walking like usual. They're just notorious for getting a lot of walks, the Dodgers. So, they got hits after that. They scored a couple of runs here. So, no, the offense is pretty. It's gonna be impressive, And the Padres had a good offensive game, and it is what it is. But the Dodgers offense, it's gonna be interesting how many runs they score every game.
Yeah. Mike, kind of the same question, the the offense looked like it's going to show up most of the year. I don't think that's going to be a question that we're going to be talking about too much, especially, Freddie Freeman didn't have, he got walked a lot. I believe he only have like one hit? Did he even get a hit this series?
Right.
But,
One hit.
looking at this offense, what were your takeaways from these first two games, especially, the amount of runs they put up today?
Well, I only watched the first game because I ended up with my trip back from Arizona and getting up like super early and then staying up, really late, for the first game to watch that. I kind of like passed out, for this morning's game. So my takeaways from the first game is I thought Freddie looked really good. Mookie looked really good. I think, Ohtani had some nerves that were going on because he struck out, multiple times. So he didn't have the greatest series, for the first game. I thought Gavin Lux did really good. I mean, he got that clutch hit, that went off into left field into the corner, which ended up scoring some more runs. So he did very well. The thing that I was kind of like questioning is, we loaded the bases 2 times and nobody scored, because the Dodgers, in my view, the way that I was looking at it was the Dodgers went back to last year of trying to hit the home run and score everybody instead of playing small ball. I'm a small ball guy. You saw what the Padres were doing and what the Heroes were doing. They were putting the ball in play and trying to bring runners around. When you have, every base is, filled full of, players, put the ball in the gap, put it into play, get somebody to score. I thought that they were going to, steal a little bit more than what they were. I didn't really agree, with the Mookie Betts when he had to get thrown back, sent back. I think they should have left him there, but, I'm happy with the offense. I think it's going to be a dynamic offense. I think they're going to do very well and score a lot of runs, kind of like what they did. I mean, man, the offense kept everything that I saw. The offense kept the team in the game for this morning's game. So I don't have really too many worries with the offense. The only thing that I have is this is a new era of Dodger baseball. Starting in 2024. Let's steal a little bit more. Let's put the ball in play. Let's move runners around and let's hit to score instead of hit to like the home run to bring 2 people in. Let's bring them in one at a time.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that too. I think my biggest takeaway, and I kind of want to see what you feel on this, Rogers, because it's kind of an opinion I've had, even when Ohtani was brought into the fold, and that is just Mookie Betts. It seems like Mookie Betts picked up right where he left off last year, finishing second in the NL MVP voting. He batted over 600 this series with an OPS at 1.8, with 1 home run and 7 RBI, 6 of which were from today. I still think that Mookie Betts is the Dodgers like catalyst. He is the MVP guy. He is the guy that can not only hit, but he can also play, multiple positions around the field. Do you think Mookie Betts, Roger, is just going to continuing the rampage that he went on from last season, especially after what we saw today? And I think another side note to that is a lot of people are bringing it up on social media. Seems like he's playing with a lot more like flair and like enthusiasm, especially after, he pimped that home run and kind of looked straight at the Dodgers dugout after that.
Yeah, I mean, he was a triple shy of the cycle, right? Last night, and then he hits that home run, which that dome stadium is not an easy place to hit home runs, right? There was only 2 home runs, and Machado got a hold of one in the 9th, pretty good as well. But I mean, we saw multiple balls that a couple that Shohei hit that they looked good, but they didn't go out. And then Mookie, probably like smallest guy on the team, right? He ends up, going yard. So I mean, yeah, I think Mookie is gonna have another big season, with the bat. I was seeing something today. Some people think, hey, if this guy plays a decent above average shortstop and he has one of his years like last season, he's a runaway MVP. Yeah. He's gonna be right at the top of the MVP conversation. So I mean, I think Mookie, he's fine starting, like you said, he's hitting over 600 in 2 games, small sample size, but I mean, you'll take it, right? 2 games, he did a lot of damage.
Yeah, I definitely think a lot of the guys showed up to play these two series. I was interested to see how they would start the season, especially starting a week before pretty much everybody else. But I always imagined, even like months ago when they announced the series, I was like, they're probably going to split the series and everyone's going to overreact. That's exactly what happened all over social media. A lot of Dodger fans, were rightfully upset about how today's game went. But I was just happy that they stayed in the game. They come back. They will be playing 3 exhibition games against the Angels. I believe 2 of them are in LA, and then 1 is in Anaheim. And then opening day is on, I believe, Thursday on March 28th. They still haven't announced the starter for that day. I imagine it'll be a combination of probably Yamamoto or Glasnow again. But kind of getting to the biggest storyline, and this is where we go back to the doom and gloom. And that is the Otani and his translator, tire scandal right now. So kind of jump in here, Roger, because I feel like you kind of can explain it a little bit better than me. But like, what are we? Because it seems like every hour I'm getting a new headline from ESPN of what's the situation with this whole thing. But kind of shed some light on that.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday, right? I think it was the Times that broke the news that they had Dodgers had fired his interpreter, right? They fired Ipe, and I was like, what the heck's going on, right? I guess they found out that he had been gambling, right, and making bets on with an illegal bookie. Um, and then from there, it was kind of like just started kind of snowballing. There was stories that he spoke to the team after the first game and kind of said, "Hey, I have a problem. This is what's going on." And then there was reports, saying that Shohei knew of what was going on and paid like his debt. But then they took that back, saying like no, and then they were saying that there was basically a large amount of money theft. And then the latest I heard now is saying that they're looking into it, like his people are looking into it to actually prosecuting this and seeing what can be done. So it's kind of all over the place still. We don't really know what's going on. The ESPN, I know ESPN has been on it, LA Times has been on it. But I mean, yeah, it's we don't know what's going on. We don't know how crazy this can get, or is it just something that's kind of, I don't think it's going to blow over right away. So it's kind of, we got to wait and see what's going to happen with this.
Yeah. And here I was thinking that the biggest storyline the Dodgers were going to face in the first month of the season was the Mookie Betts and Gavin Lux dilemma in the middle of the infield. But,
Right.
Mike, I'll go over to you. You see this story break. How, like, off guard were you caught by this? And kind of what are your thoughts on everything you've seen on social media, the contradicting stories, and kind of what do you think this means for the Dodgers moving forward, especially, we got a couple of off days in here where they're not going to be, the players aren't going to be available for media. It's kind of going to be in the dark. And we're just going to be getting a lot of stuff from, these same media outlets that are doing a lot of digging on this story because it is, as unfortunate it is big news for not only baseball, but for just, North American sports.
Oh, it's national news. I seen some a program today while I was at work. We had a financial program that was on, and they were even talking about it, nationally. So yeah, it's huge news. My take on it is, it's kind of basic, I guess. We're gonna have to wait and see where all the facts are and see who did what. A lot of the social media stuff, I'm I'm really not paying too much attention to because it's kind of, comical in a way. Because they're saying, oh, Shohei is going to be, convicted because he, it's going to come out that he's got a big gambling problem. And I did make a post, that says, well, if he has such a big gambling problem, why did he defer over $600 million, of his contract, and he's not going to get that for a number of years. If he had such a big gambling problem, there's no way he would have done that. He's only getting what, $2 million a year, for that. So I don't really buy that. It's too bad, especially, him being his interpreter and him being his friend since, I think it's 2017, 2016. They've known each other that long, and yeah, I can kind of see the report of he let him borrow the $500,000, to pay off his debt. A friend would do that, with that type of money. I've given, my friends money to help them get out of debt. It's just, humanity and a friend helping a friend out, even though it's an extreme amount of money, but, I'm not surprised if that report, is true or not. But I'm more of the wait and see. I kind of view it the same way of the Trevor Bauer thing, and I don't mean to bring his name up because I know it's taboo with a lot of people. It's kind of the same way, with Trevor Bauer. You have to wait and see and let the facts come out first before we start making judgment on it. So, but some things happen, and if it comes out true, then that's too bad. That his best friend or his really good friend ended up, taking advantage of him the way that he did.
Yeah. Carlos, I'm thinking in my head, this is going to be the first, stressless season. No major storylines that are going to derail the Dodgers. I feel like we haven't had a normal season without like a PR nightmare happening since 2019. When you woke up and see this story going around, or you're checking your phone and you see this type of stuff going on with, the $700 million man, what was your reaction just seeing the news?
Yeah. So initially, when I saw the reaction, it was like, oh my gosh, here we go again. It's something, it was like Mike mentioned, Bauer, then Julio, and now this, it's on local news. I mean, LA Channel 7, I saw it on my app. You pop up, like every single website had something about it. And I said, I was talking to my wife. I'm like, this is not good. It's not a good start. It's going to be a distraction. It's an awful start. My opinion now, after that, apparently it's not a distraction because the Dodgers scored 11 runs.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't even think it's a distraction anymore. I actually read, the last thing I read, correct me if I'm wrong, that there's not going to be any MLB investigation on Ohtani. That it's completely, is it Ipe? Ipe? How do you say his name?
Ipe.
That is solely him. If anything Ohtani did was, like Mike mentioned as well, that he gave him $4.5 million to pay off his debt, and that was it. And that, but there's not, this is it. This is where it ends. There's no more investigations. Supposedly is what I read from MLB. So, I like I said, I don't think it's a distraction anymore. I think initially it was like, wow, this is awful. This is not a good way to start the season. But I think the Dodgers are going to move on from this, and I don't think it's going to linger on too much longer. I think, he's fired. I don't know who they're going to hire next, but it's I think it's going to pass. I think it's going to pass sooner than later, honestly.
Yeah, honestly. Go ahead, Mike. Yeah,
I will say, if it was going to be like a huge distraction, look how well Shohei did, this morning on his hitting and stuff. I mean, he came out and he blasted a few balls and stuff. He did way better than he did the first game, So I think he's going to move on from this.
Yeah, I think if there's any team that is built to handle, nightmares like this, it is the Dodgers. I already mentioned it. Mike and Carlos, you alluded to it. I've alluded to it. I don't think the Dodgers have had a normal season since 2019. In 2020, they had the whole COVID pandemic shortened season with all the rules and regulations that they had to deal with that season. 2021 is the Trevor Bauer fiasco. 2022, that's still kind of lingering on, kind of affects the Dodgers' plans for the offseason. Then you have multiple injuries kind of follow that. Kershaw doesn't pitch in the postseason. Scherzer falls apart. Buehler, has to start on short rest. That starts a cascade effect of him getting injured the very next season. And then, 2023 with the whole, Julio situation as well. The Dodgers, I just feel like, they're getting shot right now. And this is really early for something this big to happen. And it's because it's the Dodgers. The reason why it's now that Ohtani's a Dodger, the Dodgers have had so much success these past couple of years that teams are just going to hate what they've done this offseason. They already hated us for just spending for the amount of money we've spent, and now they have a reason to hate Shohei Ohtani. We discussed on this in this show. Like, is Ohtani prepared to, hear the boo birds when he goes to away ballpark? But guess what? It's going to be, exponentially higher now, just because the one thing that bothers me the most is just the amount of speculation out there where they're saying Ohtani is a gambler. I'm seeing Ohtani versus Pete Rose memes everywhere. I think at face value, it's like kind of funny to laugh at, like if it's like someone that's joking about it. But a lot of people think it's actually legit that he is a gambler, which at least to my knowledge, the way I'm interpreting it is ESPN on their latest article said that the federal investigation is into the bookie. And then Ohtani's thing is investigating what was perceived as, I guess, a robbery, him losing his funds that the translator was stealing from him. It just looks, wish-wash, just because Ippei's story was that Ohtani gave him the money and to pay off the debt. So I don't think this is going to go away overnight. I think it's probably going to be months that this is going on. And it's just something the Dodgers are going to have to adapt with. I think it was pretty telling that Ohtani did play today. I feel like any other player probably would have been like, I'm going to sit this one out. I'm going to take this day off. And, Mike hit it. He came in and hit, I think his first hit was like 112 miles per hour off the bat with the exit velo, and he got a single. And, he came up to the plate for the Dodgers today in multiple situations where they needed a hit, and he came through. And I just think that's who Ohtani is. I think Dave Roberts is the perfect manager to kind of manage this entire thing. And I think the Dodgers will be fine. But I'm really interested to see when they come back and start playing games against the Angels, and then for the domestic opening day, kind of what else comes to light, how the team's being perceived. And we're going to be really interested on their first road series of the year as well to see, how fans kind of treat Ohtani and the team itself. Any closing thoughts on this whole Ohtani thing?
No, I was going to say, Ohtani's, he's laser focused, right? He's a couple nights ago when they first got there, they were on the stage. It was him, Mookie, and Freddie, right? And they were asking him questions, and they started asking questions, about his marriage and his wife, and he was just like, I want no distractions. I just want to play baseball, right? That's his focus, right? And then you get, this story that this is his best friend, right? This is his buddy, his dude, the dude that you look at pretty much. You go look at a picture of Shohei Ohtani, and you see Ippei right there next to him, right? It's just like his right hand man. They go back years, back to Japan, and then they came over. He gets hired with the Angels as well when Shohei's there, and then he brings them over. And there was a report thinking a lot of people are saying, oh, he was one of the key man guys, or he was in the contract that if he gets let go, he isn't one of those guys. It's just Caston and the ownership group. I don't even it's Caston. It's Walter and the ownership group, right? I don't know. Is it Caston as well?
And Friedman.
Friedman and Walter. But yeah, it's not Ippei. But this is his best friend, right? And then this guy to go behind his back and to do all this, that's a gut punch, right? And for him to still go out there, perform, this guy must have been devastated, right? You find out your best friend, your best friend steals $100 for you, right? You're pissed off. You're now
right.
Think of the millions and millions of dollars, right? So, but we've seen Shohei's laser focused. He wants to win. He wants to play the game, and I think he's going to continue to do that.
Yeah. Let me add one last thing, going off something Cody said. The Dodgers are definitely under like a microscope, and so I'm trying to do the math here. Okay, I'm a numbers guy. So, Cody, when did Ohtani get signed with the Dodgers? Like December, was it?
Yeah, it was like middle of December.
Okay, so he signs in December, and now we're March, we're almost April. So let's say 3 full months. So his friends spent $4.5 million in gambling. So that you're telling me that he never did any of that stuff when he was with the Angels?
Well, no, this goes back to when he was
with the Angels.
Okay, so then and where's the investigation there? And where's the uproar with the Angels? And how come they didn't take care of it, nip it in the bud back then? And they wait for the Dodgers for him to sign with the Dodgers, and now it's like, oh, this is a big controversial news, So I don't get it. I don't understand how it comes out now and didn't come out. How long has he been with the Angels? Like 5 years or something?
I agree with that 100% because I think the way I was reading it, the way the story was broken to the team was that Mark Walter came into the clubhouse and said, "There's a story that's about a break," and then Ipe voluntarily like came out and said, "I have a gambling problem. Like I did this, this, and that." From the story that got posted today, apparently that was the first time Otani heard about his money going missing as well, where he was like, his team came over and said, "Hey, you're missing $4.5 million," and that's when now he's going to like do his whole thing with, I guess, trying to investigate that further. It is weird because you don't rack up, $4 million in gambling debt over like a 4-month period. The Angels, for what it's worth, they have had a lot of problems in their clubhouse. There was the whole Tyler Skaggs thing a couple years ago as well. I can kind of see some shades of why that they're probably not a winning organization, and that's just Carlos and I, that's our favorite segment, shitting on the Angels. But yeah, it started over there, and I kind of agree with that sentiment. Well, I don't that's before we move on to the next thing. That's the other thing. I don't know why people are saying the Dodgers are cheating. What is this cheating? He played 2 games with the Dodgers already.
Right.
Did he bet on the plus 350 that ESPN bet put for the Dodgers and win the World Series? Like he still has to like go out and play the game. So and I've never been obviously it looks bad like for betting in baseball and stuff like that, but like there's no evidence that Otani bet on the sport. There's no evidence that he gambled at all. It's literally just Ipe that is the guy that is under investigation right now. So that's pretty much my thoughts on it. I'm going to try to just, I'm going to see it on social media for like months now. Probably it's going to follow the team all season, at least until it wraps up. But it's definitely going to follow us though.
Oh, definitely. I mean, this is going to be a cloud that's over the team for quite a while. And it's kind of too bad, because I think we were all hoping that this was going to be the year, like you were saying, Cody, that no drama, no nothing. We're talking about how horrible Gavin Lux's fielding is and how horrible Max Muncy is batting. I was thinking that that's what the season was going to be like. Not Shohei Ohtani and his translator, taking $4.5 million from him.
Yeah. All right. So let's just shift focus now, kind of to get ready to close out the episode here. Dodgers, they're coming back home to the U.S. I already mentioned they're playing that 3-game series with the Angels, and then they kick off the actual MLB season against the St. Louis Cardinals. Mike, I'll kind of go with you. What are you looking for the Dodgers to do in this 3-game series? And then kind of what are your plans on what they're going to do with this opening day rotation? Do you think they go with Glasnow again? Do you think they go, with Carlos's idea where they'll start? Maybe they give Yamamoto the crack to kick off the season in the U.S. Kind of what are you looking for the team to improve on? You mentioned also the errors as well. Kind of trying to pick your brain and see what you think the Dodgers are going to do this next week.
I think the Dodgers are going to come out and they're going to establish themselves. The team is pretty much starting to gel a little bit, but quicker and faster, than years past when they've added a number of new players onto the team, which is good to see. They still got a little bit, of time to be able to, to come together and get that synergy going with the whole team in itself. And I think it's going to come a little bit sooner than later. As far as the rotation is concerned, I don't think they're going to, go too far away from it. I think that Tyler Glasnow is going to be the starting pitcher, for the Dodgers opening day series against, I think it's the Reds, right? With the Reds. And
Cardinals.
Oh, the Cardinals. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be Glasnow. I don't think they're going to deviate from the rotation very much from that. So, and I think, the pitching is going to be solid, as time goes on. I think the bullpen is going to come together a little bit more and gel a little bit more, and they're going to be coming in and be dominant. Yes, there's going to be times when they're not, they're going to give up runs. I mean, that's baseball. There's going to be errors. It's going to be happening. Mookie's not always going to come out and hit, and go, 3 for 4 or 2 for 4, whatever. Otani's not always going to hit a home run in every single game. So I think the Dodgers are going to be just fine. I really do. Once they get that synergy, like I was saying, going, and they're starting to really get on a good streak, I think that streak is going to be a long one. I think they're going to break, one of their longest winning streaks in Dodgers history this year.
Yeah, nice. And then Carlos, you mentioned, I believe that you have season tickets, right?
Yes, I'll
All right,
definitely be there.
You're going to be there opening day. So what are your kind of expectations for, the team? We mentioned the scandal. We mentioned them splitting the series in Korea. What do you think the expectation and how the fans are going to receive, this has been a long winter. The Dodgers made a lot of moves. There's been a lot of excitement. How do you think the Ravine's going to react to the guys coming to start the season against the Cardinals?
I mean, if everybody's going to have my attitude, it's going to be the stadium's going to be rocking on Thursday morning. I mean, people are going to go there early. I'll be there early. It should be fantastic. I think unfortunately, because of the Korean series or the Seoul series, the rotation is not going to be the same. I think there's going to be a little adjustment because if Glasnow pitched Wednesday, his 5 days, if he's on 5-day rotation, he should pitch Monday. And then that puts him on Saturday. I don't know how they're going to hold him off till Thursday. I only think that it lost just a little bit because the opening day was over there. And now this is a domestic opening day. It's still going to have all the fanfare. But I think, that's why I think Yamamoto will get it. That's 6 days for him. I think what about Paxton and Miller? They haven't pitched in have they been throwing somewhere? Have they been throwing against minor leaguers in Korea or something? They need to get pitching too. So I think there's going to be an adjustment on the rotation, but overall it's going to be exciting. It's going to be, I can't wait. I can't wait for Thursday. I'm ready to go to sleep early so I can get some food, get some drinks, go there to the stadium early and just, kind of party, and then I'll be there Friday. I'll be there Saturday. I'm excited. I won't be there Sunday though. So hopefully Ohtani hits a home run either Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. So I want to be there for the first home run. And I'm excited. I'm pumped, man. I want to go now.
Yeah. So Carlos sounds like a guy I want to, pregame with and go to the games with. That's my kind of attitude, especially for opening day. Roger.
Carlos was saying, before we started that he was going to take me with him. He's going to leave his wife at home.
But Roger, as we were just saying, kind of everything we've been talking about, I think the biggest thing for the Dodgers with everything that's gone on with the, the scandal and everything, how important is it that they're starting their season in the U.S. at home? If you had to rank that, is that if they started on the road, wouldn't it be a different animal?
Yeah, I mean, imagine if they came back and they had to start in San Diego or San Francisco, right? With everything that's going on, right? You're gonna get all this hate, especially there. But I think even if they started in St. Louis, right? I think there'd be a lot more kind of I don't want to call it pressure, but you're gonna hear all this negativity of talk, right? So they're coming back home, starting at home. They're gonna start off with the Freeway Series with the Angels. That first game too, these guys are probably just getting over their jet lag, and they might treat that first game really like one of the early maybe spring training games. Guys going for a couple of bats, they come out, and then maybe the next couple of games they ramp them up. But speaking of rotation, hey, would they use Yamamoto in one of those games? I don't know if you guys saw this. Walker Buehler threw a bullpen a couple of days ago. He talked about he went 3 innings. He was hitting 97. And if I remember back in spring training, one of his things is he wanted to get into a Cactus League game. This and that, and that's probably not going to happen, right? And I was trying to remember. I don't know if it was him or Roberts that mentioned maybe he might get into the Freeway Series. So I don't know. Will we see him in one of these 3 games? It kind of makes sense if they're ramping him up 3 innings. If he's feeling good, he might go out there for a couple innings, get him some work, and then if that happens, I would think he's pretty close to coming back. But then I also think do they really want him this early, right? Do you want to hold him off maybe a month and kind of not let him have that heavy workload, so he's ready, down the road? But I don't know. But it looks like he's getting close to it, But like Carlos was saying, I'm looking forward to that opening day. I think it's going to be pretty wild, pretty electric. Especially, I mean, Ohtani was close to hitting a couple home runs in Korea. I think he's definitely going to hit one or a couple in those first four games at Dodger Stadium against the Cardinals.
Yeah, I
I would
think
say
with
also, sorry, Cody. I would say also, I kind of agree with Carlos. I see Bobby Miller starting the first game, and then I see Gavin Stone maybe starting the second game against the Angels, and maybe Paxton also.
Yeah, I think they have to get Paxton and Miller another crack in because Paxton's stayed in the U.S. He stayed in Arizona, probably doing some sim games against minor leaguers. But I think he needs to get another game of a couple innings because I think he's only pitched one inning this spring, and it was kind of a little bit ago. So I think he needs to get some action. So we'll definitely probably see him in that exhibition freeway series. I do agree that probably Bobby Miller will probably pitch one of those games as well. In terms of where they go, opening up the season, I still probably think they go with Glass now. If Paxton doesn't pitch in one of those exhibition games, I think he would be a logical choice to kind of break up all the righties, have him go, and then maybe Yamamoto. But we'll see what they do. In terms of Bobby Miller, kind of what Roger was talking about, I believe it was Miller himself stating that he wanted to get into some games, and one of the beat writers, brought
Walker
it up to
Bueller, right?
Roberts.
Walker Buehler.
Yeah, Bueller. Yeah, my bad. He brought it up to himself in terms of his rehab, and then they brought it up to Roberts, and I think Roberts was the one was like, we'll see what happens. I don't think he's going to get action in this. I think Bueller was just on his podcast, the Just Baseball Talk Show, and I think he said, because I wrote an article about it on DodgersBeat.com, and I think he said when the minor league season starts is when he's going to start his official rehab starts. So I that's why I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't think he's going to appear in those games. But any closing thoughts about starting opening day in the U.S. With these series and everything that's happened by anybody?
I have one last question for you guys. So Ohtani comes out, Anaheim. They call him Ohtani now, batting Ohtani. What happens at Anaheim? Is there a big cheer for Ohtani or a big loud boo Ohtani?
I think they're going to boo him. Just kind of my general consensus. If you look at the people that are bitter on social media about him the most, it seems like it's Angel fans, which is unfortunate because I think the hardcore Angel fans that understand the way their franchise has been the past couple of years, they know it's not Ohtani's fault that he left. It's been the ownership there. It's been the direction of the franchise. I think a lot of those Angel fans should look inward and look at where their team is going. So, because the writing has been on the walls for the past couple of years. I mean, we got Mike Trout over there begging Artie Moreno to do something. And it seems like every logical move that the Angels should make, should they get Blake Snell? Well, he's going to the Giants. JD Martinez today, that seemed like a logical fit to replace Ohtani in the DH spot. Well, he took a 1-year deal with the Mets for $12 million. You're telling me the Angels couldn't do that? So these are guys that could definitely make the Angels better. And I think the reception, I'm curious to see how packed it is there for an exhibition game. But yeah, I think it's going to be a mix of boos and cheers, but I feel like the audio is going to pick up mostly boos.
I think he's going to get. I think they're going to welcome him in. Personally, I don't think they're going to boo him too much. Maybe hardly at all. They didn't boo him during spring training. A lot of Angel fans were in the crowd and they were cheering for him, especially when he got hits and stuff. So I don't. Hopefully, I hope they're a little bit better than that, and support the guy. Look the way Dodger fans, when Bellinger comes in, and into the stadium, when he was with the Cubs and how they cheered for him. I hope the Angels had, do the same thing for Ohtani.
No, I think he'll get cheers because it's going to be mostly Dodger fans at Angel Stadium, like it always is. So you won't really hear any boos, going in there. So I think it'll be mostly cheers, Dodger fans.
Yeah, well, that about does it for this episode of the Bleed Lows podcast. We obviously had so much stuff to talk about. The Korea series, the Tani scandal. To be on the lookout for more videos, we got a lot of stuff coming up. We got a lot of player interviews on the way. So make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the notifications bell. That way you don't miss a single beat of anything that we're posting. And then also, DodgersBeat.com, Mike and myself, we have articles there as well. And then if you're a fan of the show and you want to reach out, you can be like Carlos and Mike. They watched the program, and then they're now helping us out as well. So, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, real quick, Cody, before we leave. You buried the lead a long time ago. Like, Cody was a special guest on Baseball Isn't Boring. I don't know if you guys have seen. They're doing a special series on basically they're picking a fan from every team to make a case for their team. So, they talk to White Sox fans, they talk to Oriole fans, make a case. Cody got selected to do the Dodgers. His episode dropped today, so you guys can go check that out on the Baseball Isn't Boring Spotify and all that stuff. So check that out. He makes a good case, good case for the loaded Dodgers, right, to win it all. So
yeah, it was pretty easy to make my case. So like Roger said, go ahead and check that out. There is the Bleed Los plug that's in there as well. And if you listen to this show, you'll kind of hear the same points that I've been making pretty much all winter after the moves. But other than that, thanks for Carlos and Mike for joining the program today. Had a lot of stuff and good conversations to talk about. And now we're just getting ready for opening day, and we'll be back with the next episode.
I will say this. Dodgers in 5 over the Astros for the World Series.
Okay. I like that prediction. I feel like I've been predicting that for years, and it just never happens.
Yeah, it's going to happen this year.
This episode has been brought to you by Bet Online. The game starts here.